Perfect, perfect. It goes perfectly with the talk. The reading goes, of course, and the reading that Barb did goes so perfectly with our talk. And here is our talk. So for this month, without further ado, for this month, we are exploring the powerful, powerful teachings of New Thought, which when we practice, will lead us to a life that is rich in meaning, love, peace, and joy, harmony. Move that out of the way. And we talk about those qualities, and they are available to us in every situation and circumstance that we find ourselves in. And this is what we're going to deepen into today. I think it's really important to know that there is not just that which is taking place in our life, you know, the circumstances, the stuff, but there is a divinity that is supporting and loving us at all times. So more than 2,005 years ago, one of the holiest of holies, the one who awoke, and we spoke about that last week in great detail, the Buddha said this: however many holy words you read, however many you speak, what good will they do you if you do not act upon them? Isn't that the truth? Action is in the action. Are we living these spiritual principles that we speak of? And that action takes practice. It really does. It's a whole new way of being and thinking and showing up in our circumstances in life. And it's an art. And it's a science. The art part is fluid. It's flowing. It's creative. It's feeling. It's passion. It's energy. It's aliveness. And the science part is the method, the formula, repeatable, reliable, systemic, or systematic. It's a systematic way. It's the spiritual mind treatment that you heard Barb do this morning. She opens it with affirmative prayer, which in Science of Mind is called spiritual mind treatment. And there is a formula to that they learned, and then pour the warmth and individuality of that person speaking it into that method, if you will. It is a definite, learnable method. In fact, we start learning about it in our Foundations of Science of Mind class. It's so powerful. What a tool. So during the month of September, we are exploring how to practice both of these aspects of our Science of Mind teaching. In the context of the present challenges or issues that you may be having in your life right now. So last Sunday, I invited you to be aware of a current issue or challenge. I'm sure we all have one. Doesn't have to be bad, you know. Actually, good stuff takes place too, you know. Yes. But sometimes the challenging experiences in our life take front row in our brain, in our thinking. So just bring that challenge to mind today as we work through it this whole month. A challenge may be in your world that has caused you some kind of pain. And I ask you to become aware of it, just to bring it into your mind's eye, and then to be awakened at the same time to the higher truths. And the higher truths about it are that there is a power for good that is always there supporting each and every one of us. I know last week we did some powerful work around that concept. And today we're going to apply the art and the science of conscious creation to that challenge by looking at how we can create our own days. And we do this by when we open our eyes in the morning, when we go to bed at night, setting a really clear intention. We are creating. The law of divine good is responding to us. It's the way that cause and effect, the law of all of the spiritual laws of the universe operate. So we're going to take the word, create, and we're going to take it apart. And if you did read the newsletter, actually opened it up, you would see that I had those letters with each of these tools next to them. It's like an acronym we're going to use today, and I'll leave it in there for next week. So these 6 letters in the word create, we're going to use each one of them as a reminder for us that every day we can practice a way of being in the world, a way of creating, co-creating, because it's already been created by this infinite intelligence. It's already there, but we need to become aware of it, wake up to it, and then we can creatively use it. So we can use it to remove those, and we use this word all the time, but that's what they feel like, blocks to our good. They feel like oppositions to our good. Live in the flow. You know when you're in the flow. Deepen into the higher truths that we explored last week. Understanding your intrinsic worth and value, and then move to fulfillment. Move to a life of fulfillment, of peace of mind, of a state of well-being. Wow, that's really what we want. To be in a state of well-being, to know that we are supported and loved no matter what is going on. So let's start with C. C is for calm your mind. When a student once asked Ramana Maharishi, a great Hindu sage, who stands in the way of my knowing myself and God? He shot back, your wandering mind. Only our thoughts cause that separation. There is no separation. As we know, Carol's mom passed away, as we spoke of in the beginning. We know that she's still with us, just we cannot see the form. But her spirit is right here, right now, where we are. There is only our 5 senses that keep us thinking that we are separated. It's quite normal, though, that our mind wanders. We're having this human experience, so we have thoughts. We have thoughts. Unless we have been trained to keep our attention on any one thing for a long period of time, like in meditation, which we'll talk about, this is one of the tools of calming the mind, that conscious breath work. So ladies, or women, to say women, because maybe you're not, okay, all ladies, but we're all women, we're all female, so at our workshop, Sue Fady, who just walked in, will be leading us in some conscious breath work. But it's part of calming the mind, the C part, by retraining it, by retraining and continuing to bring it back to whatever we are focusing on. I know that God is my source and supply, that God supports me. Back issues, God supports me over and over again while going through something that feels like pain. God supports me no matter what, no matter what. And as you practice this and as you do this, your mind will sharpen. It will remember. It will remember. So as you're going through it, you can have these affirmations. We calm our mind, and by focusing it, we focus it to use the skills that we're going to go through today. And these skills really have changed my life, and I know many of us who have studied these spiritual principles intensely. It's something that we use. That's why it's a practical spirituality. And so one of our daily practices is waking up and going into that state of meditation, of consciously connecting with the breath, knowing that that is life breathing us. It is life breathing us. In the Science of Mind textbook, on page, if you want to know the page, 246, Ernest Holmes wrote this: we should read, study, think, and meditate upon those statements that tend to calm, to give poise and confidence, and erase all thought of fear and tension. We should think of ourselves as being surrounded by perfect life and poised in an internal calm. We are in a sea of untroubled waters of life from which we may freely drink. Holmes was amazing, just amazing. And the Buddha said, May you develop mental concentration, for whatsoever is mentally concentrated sees things according to reality, and that's a capital R, divine reality. And this art, and it is an art, of calming the mind, of course, is what meditation is all about. Focusing on one thing, even if it is the breath going in, the breath coming out, and returning to it over and over. We forget to breathe. It changes everything. We're in the middle of all of these life circumstances, and we forget. Let me just take 3 deep breaths. It centers us. It brings us back to focus, to be calm. And the stillness and the calmness of the mind just doesn't occur when you're meditating. But it moves through. We live it. It moves through everyday life and challenges. And it remains even in the midst of our greatest crises. We just take that breath and we automatically reconnect. But it's every day practicing. Practicing. This is the art of doing, the art of living. In his wonderful book, Meditation, spiritual teacher Eknath Eswaran suggests that we select a sacred holy passage, something that is meaningful to us, and we commit it to memory. For me, it's got to be 1 line, 2 the most. But we can, if you had this incredible brain, you can retain a whole paragraph, great. But this is the key to it. So you're meditating, take it into meditation, and then when the mind wanders, which it will try to do, you start back at the very beginning again. You don't start where you left off, go all the way back. It's retraining our thinking, which helps us to then create the life we would like to live. So think about that. Now, Vietnamese monk Thich Nhat Hanh suggests this meditation as you breathe in and breathe out. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. So let's all just try that. Breathing in, so breathe in. I calm my mind. Breathing out, I smile. And breathe this in. Dwelling in the present moment, breathe it in. And exhale. I know this is a wonderful moment. Just one more time. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. I see everyone's little mouth go up. Smile. Doesn't that feel wonderful?
Yes.
It just brings us back to center. And it's such a simple thing to do, but we forget. And I personally love this one to do if and when I let the outer experiences get to me. And it brings me right back to center, to a place of peace and calm. So that's the breath. That's the breath. So things are going on. It's like, wait a second, I have to take this breath. Breathing in, I calm my mind. Breathing out, I smile. It just shifts. Just shifts us enough. So my friends, begin your day with a meditation that not only calms your heart and soul, but that also trains your mind to focus. And then engage in the art and science of calming techniques as needed in your day. And that takes us to R. Remembering who you are. And actually remembering whose you are. The key to Jesus' power was that he constantly called to remembrance of who he was. He was always called to remembrance. Rather than seeing his limitations, he saw himself as being one with God, unified, no separation. In his remembrance, he said, "Glorify thou me with the glory which I had with thee before the world was." So we have always been, we always will be. There is no death. It just looks that way. It looks that way, but that eternal self, the flame of the heart, is forever alive. And he was obviously remembering who he was when he said, "Before Abraham was, I am." we've always been. We always shall be. It's so comforting to know that. And these are poetic ways of saying that at the core of our beingness, there is an infinite, eternal presence. In Living the Science of Mind, again, Ernest Holmes writes, we are compelled to think of spirit either as apart from us or within us. If apart from us, there is no way to find it. If within us, there is no escaping the divine fact. Unfoldment and not search is what we need. So as we turn within, it is there. We hear this all the time, but it's something to practice and to remember. It is not in the effects outside. Everything outside of us is an effect, a condition, and it always changes. That which is within us is changeless, absolutely changeless and eternal. And there's a story about a jeweler who had been working on repairing an earring, and then he lost it. He began frantically searching all over for it. He searched once, twice, 3 times, and he could not find it. And feeling distraught, he went to the bathroom and splashed his face with some water, and he looked up into the mirror, and he started to laugh hysterically. Why? Because attached to his earlobe was the earring he had been frantically looking for. He placed it there to see if the clip would actually hold, and forgot it was there. But our divinity is like that. It's already there. Are we waking up, splashing the water and looking into the mirror and seeing it? It's already present. We don't have to search for it. We think we got to search for it, so we keep going outside. It's within. And we come here on Sundays to be reminded. I'm up here reminding myself of this truth. We must remind ourselves. Feeling distraught. Oh, okay, I did that. Okay. If you have a heart, I get so carried away with spirit. The spirit is so incredibly passionate and filled with love, and just wants everyone to really know that there is a love within each and every one of us that is waiting for its own delight, waiting for us to turn within and acknowledge it. Every morning for 10 minutes, read, if you would like to hear some spiritual practice, from Ernest Holmes' book, This Thing Called You. What a great book. Just read. Read it for 10 minutes. In the first person. And so here's an example. So you're reading it as if you're talking to yourself. And so listen to this. There is a pattern of my being, or a real spirit of me, which is as eternal as God, as indestructible as reality, and as changeless as truth. This pattern is seeking to manifest through me. Back of it all, the will and purpose of the universe, all of the irresistible laws of being. Finally, it will win. And then he continues, it is because it is there that I have the longing to live more fully, which I'm sure most of us have a longing to live more fully. The feeling that life belongs to me. There is something within me beyond all doubt and fear, something that has never been limited by my acts or destroyed by my feelings. This is the only something, he writes, that can make me whole. It's the only place that wholeness truly exists, is within ourselves. So starting our day like that will definitely help us remember who we are. And then E, enter into partnership with God by creating a mental equivalent. What is a mental equivalent, some may ask? It's the mental picture. It's the mental, you need to have the law of God, the law of good to actually manifest in our lives. We need to have a clear picture of what it is we would like to manifest in our lives. And this practice gets to the science of our work. This is science, like the law of electricity. This is science. It's always there. Are we using it? Before people invented light switches and bulbs and wires and all the stuff that goes into it, I don't know how electricity works, but I know I can turn on the air conditioner and it works. So it's always been there. Let us learn to use it. So enter into partnership. This practice gets into the science. So in the chapter entitled Mental Equivalent in the Science of Mind textbook, Holmes writes this: the law is infinite and perfect, but in order to make a demonstration, we must have a mental equivalent of the thing we desire. A demonstration, like anything else in the objective life, is born out of a mental concept. The mind is the fashioning factor, and according to its range, vision, and positiveness will be the circumstances of the experience. So the experience is going to exist anyway. How are we choosing to respond to it? And let us remember that consciousness must be conscious of something. And if you decide what that something is, you've entered into partnership with God, so to speak. The law of good will always work. Whether you believe in God or not, it will always work because it's infallible. It's the substance, the ethers, it's all of that. The response to what is put into it neutrally. It has no judgment. And here's a tangible demonstration of how that can work. 2 insurance salesmen decided to set their goals for the next year, and they wrote them down on a piece of paper, sealed them in envelopes, and tucked them away for the end of the year. And so at the end of the year, they opened them and compared now what they really had actually manifested in their lives through their consciousness. The first man who opened his leapt for joy. I made my goal, I reached my goal, and he had written down $50,000, and he reached it. The second man opened his quietly to himself. He said, well, I only made half of my goal, but I'm happy. I'm happy too. So he looked down at his, but his was for $500,000. So what are we putting down to life to operate on? Are we putting down limited good, or are we putting down expansive good? Something we can believe, right? Hold that vision. Hold that vision. And then we move on to CREA, affirmations. Keep yourself on track with your mental equivalent of the day. Always have that vision of what you truly want to manifest each day by using powerful statements of truth, otherwise known as affirmations. So statements, here's a few. There is only one infinite intelligence which governs and guides me. Everything necessary, I like mine short, we got short, powerful, and present in the present tense. Everything necessary to the full and complete expression of joy is mine now. I now allow myself to receive all good I have withheld from myself in the past. I am dynamic, vibrant, and in radiant health. I have plenty to spend, to spare, and to share. There is one life, that's God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life right here and right now. And one of my favorite, God is my true source of supply of all good in its every form. There is one supplier I can always depend upon. Yes. Circumstances change. But when we go within and say that the universe always provides, which is another great affirmation, the universe always provides. My highest good is always taking place. I just left my sister in Long Island this week. As many of you know, her husband is quite sick, and she's just found out that she has to move within 3 months. And that means that her apartment, her health care, everything is gone. And she is affirming that our highest good is taking place, and she doesn't even know if her husband's going to live. That is walking the talk. That is living the truth. Truly, I am completely impressed with the way she's living the truth in her life. What words of affirmative truth could you use or create regarding the challenge or the issue or the situation that's in your life? What you've brought to the table this month, so that whenever you become concerned about it, you immediately turn, do we do this? We turn to the worst. We don't go, what if all the good? And you'll think, you know, the fairy godmother comes up with the one. Glint. What if all good? No, we go to what if? What if? What if I'm going to wind up on the street? What if? What if this happens? And then we go to the worst case scenario. We truly need this. We need to train our minds to pull it back to this moment, right here, right now, knowing that there is a power for good that is operating through me, to me, and all around me. And so far, let's take a breath. So far, we've done the C, calming our minds. R, remembering who we are. E, entering into partnership with the divine. A, affirming our truth. That leads us to T. T is for touch in with your feelings. Touch in with your feelings. Again, in Living the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes writes this: there is an interesting thought to speculate on. If feelings and emotions acting through the avenue of consciousness can produce havoc, what would happen if the same feelings and emotions were constructively employed? What would happen, he writes, if we could convert the energy of fear to faith, the energy of doubt and uncertainty into a feeling of belonging to the universe and being safe in it? Would not the original artist itself go forth into new creation through us? He is telling us that this original artist, who we know is divinity, God, the higher power, we are co-creating our lives with it. And I call it because it's genderless. We are creating our lives with this incredible first cause, the divine energy. And I love this in Esther and Jerry Hicks' book, Ask and It Is Given. They have a scale, I've given out in a lot of classes, of emotions. It goes from 1 to 22. So on the bottom of the scale is our disconnect, our out of alignment. We're not connected. Oh, ain't it awful? This always happens to me. That victim consciousness, that feeling of not having any power. And then we move up the scale. We move up the scale by making these choices. So fear, grief, depression, despair, hopelessness are in the bottom. And then we move up gradually. I think it's kind of challenging to go from fear to joy. But as I've said before, sometimes it's not as challenging to go from joy to fear. One phone call, one circumstance in life. But then we want to get back up to that place of peace and well-being. So we do it a little at a time. Next week, if I remember, I'll print out the emotional scale so you can have it. And we want to move up to the top, but we move in increments. We move from in the middle. In the middle is maybe overwhelm or anger. And then we move up. We choose hope. We choose optimism. And then we move up to the place of peace and fear at the top. And they suggest that it may be challenging for us as humans to make a leap of faith from the bottom to the top, as I just said. And this is what they wrote in their book. The thing that matters most is that you consciously reached for a feeling that is improved, for that better feeling thought. Keep reaching for it. Don't stay stuck in the mud and mire, muck and mire. So during the course of the day, touch in with your feelings. See what you're really feeling, acknowledging them, realizing how important they are. They're creating. whether consciously or unconsciously, they are still creating. And that takes us to our final letter. The letter that puts it all together. That's why I like the song so much. Expect the best. Expect the best in all things. Expect the best with persistence and determination. Little Johnny watched in absolute fascination as his mother smoothed cold cream all over her face. "Why do you do that, Mommy?" he asked. "To make myself beautiful." And then she proceeded to take it off with a tissue. And he said, "What's the matter, giving up already?" It's the same, never giving up, expecting the best, right? Expecting the best. So in Science of Mind, and then I'm going to let you go, but in science, I really want us to get this. I really want me to get this. And when me gets this, you get this. We all get this together. So it's so important for us to realize that we are not here alone. And sometimes it really feels like we're alone, but we're not. We have the power for good that is always with us. It came with us when we entered this life. It will be with us when we leave this life. Just knowing that is so reassuring. So I'm going to finish with one of my favorite passages from Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes writes, "Stay with the one and never deviate from it. Never leave it for a moment. Nothing else can equal this attitude. To desert the truth in our hour of need is to prove that we do not know the truth. When things look the worst, that is the supreme moment to demonstrate to ourselves that there are no obstructions to the operation of truth. When things look at their worst is the best time to work. The most satisfying time. The person who can throw himself with complete abandon into that limitless sea of receptivity, having cut loose from all apparent moorings, is the one who will always receive the greatest rewards." He also writes, "Never let anything cause you to doubt your ability to demonstrate faith. Conceive of your word as being the thing. See the desire as already accomplished, and rest in perfect confidence, peace, and certainty. Never looking for results, never wondering, never becoming anxious, never being worried or hurried. Those who do not understand this attitude may think you are inactive. But remember, to him who can perfectly practice inaction, all things are possible." Inaction has one word. "Persistently and determinedly expect the best. Expect the best." So do these 6 activities, which I said will be, if you don't get our newsletter, give Denny your email and you'll be on the newsletter, which has all the information of everything that's going on here. But I also put the acronym CREATE and what each one stands for. So you can practice these 6 activities throughout the day. And they're mental activities, so we train ourselves. We're retraining. Practice, 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 the art of living. This is the art of living. C, calming the mind. A, not A, R, remembering who we are. E, entering into partnership with God. A, affirming. T, touching in with your feelings. And E, expecting the best. Do these every day, and you will arrive at the state where you start dissolving what we call blocks. Live in the flow. Deepen into the higher truths of our being. Recognize the truth of who you are. You are a child of the divine. You are entitled to the kingdom.
Yes.
You are allowed. You are absolutely. It is there waiting for us. Move into fulfillment. Live the art and science of spirituality every day and see what happens. And so it is.
Wow.